Where had you gone before the rain started?
I had gone to the market before the rain started.
What had you done before you went to bed?
I had finished my homework before I went to bed.
Why had you left the meeting early?
I had left the meeting early because I felt sick.
Where had you kept your phone before you lost it?
I had kept my phone on the table before I lost it.
What did you learn before joining the new course?
I had learned basic grammar before joining the new course.
Where had he gone before his friend arrived?
He had gone to the park before his friend arrived.
What had she cooked before the guests came?
She had cooked biryani before the guests came.
Why had they moved to another city?
They had moved to another city for better opportunities.
What had it done before the sun rose?
It had rained heavily before the sun rose.
What had this man done before becoming famous?
This man had worked as a teacher before becoming famous.
Where had the teacher gone before the class started?
The teacher had gone to the office before the class started.
What had the students done before the exam began?
The students had revised their lessons before the exam began.
Why had the boy cried before his mother came?
The boy had cried because he had broken his toy before his mother came.
What had the workers built before the storm hit?
The workers had built a small bridge before the storm hit.
Where had the birds flown before the winter came?
The birds had flown south before the winter came.
What had your friend said before leaving the room?
My friend had said goodbye before leaving the room.
Where had your parents gone before the wedding?
My parents had gone shopping before the wedding.
Why had your brother stayed home yesterday?
My brother had stayed home because he had caught a cold.
What had your teacher explained before the test?
My teacher had explained the rules before the test.
Where had your cousin worked before he started his business?
My cousin had worked in a bank before he started his business.
What had the team practiced before the match began?
The team had practiced penalty shots before the match began.
Why had the doctor left the hospital early?
The doctor had left the hospital early because he had an emergency.
What had the police found before the thief escaped?
The police had found the stolen car before the thief escaped.
Where had the old man lived before he came here?
The old man had lived in a village before he came here.
What had the driver done before the bus broke down?
The driver had checked the engine before the bus broke down.
Why had the girl fainted before the show started?
The girl had fainted because she hadn't eaten breakfast before the show started.
What had the family decided before buying the house?
The family had decided to move to the city before buying the house.
Where had the soldiers gone before the war began?
The soldiers had gone to the camp before the war began.
What had the cat done before it climbed the tree?
The cat had chased a bird before it climbed the tree.
Why had the baby slept early last night?
The baby had slept early because he had played a lot.
What had the chef prepared before the guests arrived?
The chef had prepared dessert before the guests arrived.
Where had the tourists gone before visiting the museum?
The tourists had gone to the beach before visiting the museum.
What had the manager discussed before the meeting ended?
The manager had discussed the budget before the meeting ended.
Why had the company closed before the new year?
The company had closed because it had lost too much money.
What had the children done before their parents came home?
The children had cleaned the room before their parents came home.
Where had the friends met before the trip started?
The friends had met at the station before the trip started.
What had the farmer planted before the rain came?
The farmer had planted rice before the rain came.
Why had the dog barked before the stranger entered?
The dog had barked because it had seen a stranger before he entered.
What had the students prepared before the competition?
The students had prepared a speech before the competition.
Where had the bride gone before the ceremony began?
The bride had gone to the salon before the ceremony began.
What had the teacher told them before the class ended?
The teacher had told them to study before the class ended.
Why had the man sold his car before moving abroad?
The man had sold his car because he had planned to move abroad.
What had the woman done before opening the shop?
The woman had cleaned the floor before opening the shop.
Where had the boys gone before sunset?
The boys had gone to play football before sunset.
What had the artist painted before the exhibition?
The artist had painted a portrait before the exhibition.
Why had the engineer checked the machine again?
The engineer had checked the machine because it had stopped working.
What had the judge decided before announcing the results?
The judge had decided the winner before announcing the results.
Where had the kids hidden before their parents arrived?
The kids had hidden behind the door before their parents arrived.
What had the lady bought before going home?
The lady had bought vegetables before going home.
Why had the player left the field early?
The player had left the field early because he had injured his leg.
What had the author written before publishing his book?
The author had written many drafts before publishing his book.
Where had the students gone before lunch?
The students had gone to the library before lunch.
What had the shopkeeper done before closing the shop?
The shopkeeper had counted the money before closing the shop.
Why had the teacher scolded the boy?
The teacher had scolded the boy because he had come late.
What had the girl drawn before the art competition?
The girl had drawn a landscape before the art competition.
Where had the couple gone before buying the car?
The couple had gone to the showroom before buying the car.
What had the bird eaten before it flew away?
The bird had eaten some grains before it flew away.
Why had the crowd gathered before the concert started?
The crowd had gathered because the singer had arrived early.
What had the friends done before watching the movie?
The friends had eaten snacks before watching the movie.
Where had the travelers stayed before reaching the city?
The travelers had stayed at a motel before reaching the city.
What had the teacher prepared before the lecture?
The teacher had prepared notes before the lecture.
Why had the man shouted before leaving the hall?
The man had shouted because someone had insulted him.
What had the student forgotten before going to school?
The student had forgotten his bag before going to school.
Where had the people gathered before the parade began?
The people had gathered in the park before the parade began.
What had the company planned before launching the product?
The company had planned an advertisement before launching the product.
Why had the train stopped before the station?
The train had stopped because it had faced a technical issue.
What had the old lady said before she left the village?
The old lady had said goodbye before she left the village.
Where had the team gone before the final match?
The team had gone for practice before the final match.
What had the actor done before joining the film industry?
The actor had worked in theater before joining the film industry.
Why had the students laughed before the class started?
The students had laughed because their friend had told a joke.
What had the man bought before his birthday?
The man had bought a new watch before his birthday.